enough beating around the bush. I'm certain you're stronger than Baelor is. With that in mind, I have no doubt you'll do us all proud, regardless of your placement number. Anyways, I've much work to do. Happy birthday, Nathan. Ulrich turned to leave the room, but as he opened the door, Nathan also stood. Father, please, before you go, I've also got a gift for you. Ulrich's brow raised when he turned to see Nathan offering up another scroll from his pocket. You little rascal. I'm the one who's supposed to get you gifts on your birthday. How dare you grant me a new sword technique? But Ulrich never finished his joke. Instead, his eyes soared over the sketches on the scroll, amazed by the power of the movements. The elemental slice technique? This is far from a basic sword art technique. Hey, where did you... Before Ulrich could finish his sentence, he realized Nathan had already slipped out of the room. Ulrich could only chuckle as he shook his head. Nathan, lad, you're full of surprises. Baelor, Graham, where have you been? These farming tools don't sell themselves, you know. Baelor caught his breath and leaned against a tree as his father, Podrick, approached him. Baelor wiped the sweat from his brow, threw his wooden training sword into a bush, and pretended to be stretching. Baelor has spent the morning struggling to learn the very first movements of the Demonic Parry technique. He'd grown frustrated as the sun had risen high into the sky and had completely forgotten about his duties back at his father's shop. Father, what a delight to see you. I was just stretching, warming up to sell some plows. I suppose you'd like me to believe that wooden training sword grew out of that bush over there and didn't come from the Hayfield boy? Ever since young Master Nathan's birthday, you've been shirking your duties. Podrick loomed over his son as Baelor reluctantly nodded his head. I'm sorry, Father. I'll come with you at once. Podrick had used up his entire life savings to be able to afford to send his son to Godricshall to attend the Academy of the Mystic Blades. When he found out that his son had withdrawn from the school, he was furious. Sure, he did the honorable thing, sticking by the Hayfields, but what about the Graham family's honor? What about the fortune I spent on his future that's gone down the drain? I swear, sometimes that strange son of mine seems to only think of himself. If I'm not careful, he'll be the end of me. Although Podrick was eternally loyal to House Hayfield and had no ill will toward Nathan, he couldn't help but resent what had happened. It had taken a decade for Podrick to raise the funds they had needed to give Baelor a chance at a better life, and now, with the decline of the Hayfield family even more prominent, Podrick's shipments of goods were often held up by bureaucrats or stolen by thieves. Even when the shipments weren't detained, Podrick couldn't help but notice the influx of impoverished beggars pleading for food on roads into and out of town. He did his best to help when he could, but that meant he wasn't exactly making money hand over fist. At one point, Podrick had even considered starting over and leaving Dunshire for another hamlet across the fiefdom. But when he saw his son begin to train on his own, he realized there was still a slim chance for Baelor to become the warrior he had always wished to be. After all, in the past 2 years, Baelor had improved by 2 levels in the time it took most other students to improve by only half a level. So even now, after everything, he still supported Baelor's dreams, as long as he worked toward them after hours when the family shop was closed. As Podrick saw Baelor's head lower, he couldn't help but sigh. Hold on a second. You might as well grab your practice sword before we return. Baelor perked up, nodded, and ran into the bushes to retrieve his wooden sword. So, son, tell me, how was young Master Nathan's birthday party? What spiritual fighting level has he reached now? Baelor chuckled as he returned from the bushes with his wooden sword and did a few practice moves, slashing at the air. Oh, I'm not sure, but whatever it is, it's much stronger than mine. That much I'm certain of. Podrick's eyes widened when he saw his son's sword strikes. Of course. Naturally, that makes a lot of sense. Tell me, Baelor, what blade work have you been practicing? Where did you learn to strike like that? Podrick's family only knew of two fairly weak sword styles, and clearly this was not one of them. Whatever Baelor's movements were, they weren't traditional Graham family fighting techniques. Oh, this? This is the Demonic Parry technique. Pretty cool, huh? Nathan gifted it to me at his birthday celebration. He told me to practice it every day until I reached beginner level 6. Here, want to see it? The Baelor withdrew the scroll from his pocket and showed it to his father. Podrick's eyes widened. He was silent for a long time, then handed the scroll back to his son. Very well, then. I'm off. Podrick turned and started walking back toward town. Father, wait! I thought you needed me at the shop. Forget the shop. Nathan Hayfield has granted you a powerful fighting form. You must master it as soon as possible. Is that understood? Yes, Father, but where are you going? To thank him properly, you silly goose of a son. You have no idea how valuable this new form is. As your father, it's my duty to make it known to the Hayfields how thankful House Graham truly is for their generosity. As Podrick retreated toward the hamlet, all Baelor could do was shrug and go back to practicing his strikes. This time, he focused on a particularly large elm tree. As the tree began to shake under his blows, Baelor couldn't help but smile. Podrick knocked on the front door of the Hayfield manor until finally a guard opened up. What's the matter, Podrick? Please, I must speak with Lord Ulrich and Nathan as soon as possible. The guard left the door for a moment as Podrick anxiously waited with bated breath. Soon the guard returned and motioned for him to enter. His lordship is upstairs, in his chambers. Podrick nodded and thought about what he was going to say. Spiritual sword-fighting techniques were not something most ordinary people had access to. Most noble families inherited them from their ancestors and only had knowledge of a couple of different styles. For a commoner family like the Grahams to have any at all was extremely fortunate. Therefore, a gift of this magnitude was out of the ordinary, and the Grahams would forever view the technique as a precious family heirloom. It was possible that such a powerful technique could one day lead to the Graham family's ascension into nobility through the nobility examination. If they practiced this style properly for generations, perhaps it was indeed possible for their family name to rise above a simple merchant's status. It was for these reasons that Podrick had prepared a number of gifts from his shop on his way over to the Hayfield manor. There were few things the Hayfields did not possess in town, given the fact that they ruled over the small hamlet, but Podrick was certain at least one gift to Amelia would spark joy in them all. Finally, Podrick stood before Ulrich in his chambers, having just expressed his reasoning for coming over. My dear friend Podrick, why make such a fuss over such a small matter? My lord Ulrich, the matter may be small to you, but to my family, it is a massive honor. I witnessed firsthand the movements Nathan gave my son. I do not exaggerate when I say I was moved by its power. It's nothing. I'm happy to hear you like it, that's all. But I feel that I have not done enough to deserve this gift, my lord. We have made no contributions worthy of such a reward. Podrick, please, this is a matter between children. I'm glad it happened, but still, as adults, it should mean little to us. Podrick smiled and nodded his head. Of course, my lord, you're correct, but then, where is young Master Nathan? I wish to thank him personally as well. Normally, he'd be out training somewhere in the wilderness, but today, I believe he's wrapping things up in the courtyard, so he can join his sister for lunch. Come, why don't you stay and have a drink with us? As your lordship commands, I would be honored to sit with you. Ulrich chuckled at his old friend's formality. After all, they had grown up together in Dunshire, and had committed much mischief together in their youth. Enough with his lordship, Podrick. Decades ago, we tipped cows together. Call me Ulrich, or call me nothing. As your lordship sure, Ulrich. Whatever you say. With that, the two men stood, and Ulrich flung an arm around Podrick's shoulder, guiding him down toward the dining room while he recalled their misadventures together. Out in the courtyard, Nathan knew it was time to stop his afternoon training when he heard his father's booming laughter.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.